Come Sunday is the movie, come Monday is the movement. What you want wants you, because what you want is you. That's where Monday comes in. Who am I on Monday after Sunday? Let's discover that, let's recover that, let's reclaim that together. That's where I am. The movie is fantastic. My past 65 years are wonderful. But now I'm so excited about what's going to happen next, and I think you are too. You want to know what's next, not only for me, what's next for you and those you love. You might be the leader. In fact, you really are. You can be. Come and sign up for comemonday.org. Become a part of this amazing movement that's global. I mean, we're hearing from people all over the country as well as all over the planet. Pakistan, India, way down in South Africa. People want to go to the next level. This is next level living. This is next level thinking. This is next level being. See you there.
The next great move of the Holy Spirit would be initiated by black people, and that he was going to have a leading part in it.
Is Majesty here? Tell her to come on in. We're not going to do a duet, but she's going to sing something. Obviously, we love music in this church. We have some of the most excellent musicians and singers and instrumentalists. Everybody involved in music here we have a lot of professionals, but we have a lot of raw, rare talent, and it's always a joy in each service that we have different expressions of music. The word music, as you've heard me say many times, comes from the word muse, which means to think. It's called the science of the musings. To amuse is to stop thinking. It's the very opposite, and we need to know how to do both. I haven't learned how to stop thinking yet, but I try. But Madge just got back from the Four. Some of you saw her on television a couple weeks ago. She's so courageous because she stood in line in rain, sleet, and snow in Chicago, Kansas City, Oklahoma City, Little Rock, Arkansas for The Voice, and all these different shows. Something I would never have done. And I did it the first time with her and knew I wasn't going to do it again. And she just stood there, and there are many turn downs and shuts. She just keeps going. I learned from my own daughter, watching her tenacity because she's on focus. And she never gives up. And I said to her there, I said, this is not a competition. This is about you doing destiny. You knowing that's in your soul. We heard her sing. I'll tell this, and then as a father, her bedroom was right down the hall from ours. And we put all our babies in there after we got them out of our bed. They told us never to put them in our beds, but we did, you know. I was hoping I wouldn't roll over on them a time or two, but I always went and got them when they cried, so Gina didn't have to get up because she had to do all the other work. As soon as they'd make the slightest little, I'm down there, grab them so they could be nursed, and then most times I helped burp them. And that was worse than anything. Just, will you burp, girl? Hang up down. But I went by there one day. I bought her a boom box. We used to play music driving. They went to TU for a while when they were little, and we would drive. I just realized who you guys are. I'm gonna squeeze you. Oh my God, these are my peoples that all down here. Good to see all of you. I would drive them to school. I kept music going, never forced anything on them. They would sing along with the music. And one day I was passing Madge's room. She was about 9 or 10. She always played Alicia Keys and Mariah Carey and all these. And I thought that's what I was hearing, and I stopped. And she was singing on top of Alicia. sounding almost identical to her. So I did this to Gina because the door was closed and Gina came down. We put our ears and we listened, and my tears just filled my eyes. And so I pushed the door open. She immediately cut everything off and stopped. She wasn't ready for us to hear her. And I knew then she was going to sing. And she's a classical pianist trained, but her light doesn't come on as bright when she's at the keyboard. When she sings and when she's on the stage, she becomes alive. And I only say that to affirm that you follow your anointing, you follow your unction. Howard Thurman said, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and do it. What the world needs is people who have come alive. Come alive, little girl, again, and sing that song, and then we'll come back and talk. I love you. You're perfect.
This is from the moment of the Father's hand, because it takes a village, yes, yes?
Yes.
Yes, yes. I don't need you to love me. I don't need you to love. I've got my sister. I can feel her now. She may not be here, but she's still mine. I hope she knows I still love her. I've got my children. I can feel them now. They may not be here, but they still mine. I hope they know I still love them. I've got my house, it still keeps the cold out. I've got my chair when my body can't hold out. I've got my hands doing good like they supposed to, showing my heart to the folks that I'm close to. I've got my eyes, though they don't see as far now. They see more about how things really are now. I love y'all. I'm gonna take a deep breath. I'm gonna hold my head up. I'm gonna put my shoulders back and look you straight in the eye. I'm gonna flirt with somebody when they walk by. I'm gonna sing out, sing out, out. I believe I have inside of me everything that I need, yeah, to live a bountiful life and all the love alive in us will stand as tall as the tallest tree. And I'm thankful for every day that I'm given. Oh, both the easy and hard ones will live in. But most of all, I'm thankful for loving who I really am. I'm beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. We're beautiful. And I am I love y'all. I love y'all. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Real quick, oh man. Give it up for Kirby, you guys. Give it up for the band, you guys. I love y'all. I love y'all.
What a sweet spirit. Thank you, darling. Might have you to sing home later. It's my favorite. The young lady she unseated. Social media, one of the things I don't like about, I'm concerned about them doing that is once you become, when infamy comes with all fame. If you get any notoriety, there's always going to be people who don't like you and who say unkind things to you. And because of the internet, they can do that anonymously and be very ruthless. And the young lady that she unseated was only 23. Madge is 21, and so I heard that they were just attacking the young lady just because she expressed a little bit of her displeasure. When you do those kind of shows, you kind of flow with what they want you to. They want you to show the competitive thing and be a little edgy. And so they attacked her on the media. And Madge was concerned, and I was too, so she called her and loved on her the other night. She FaceTimed her and brought her to my room. And I thought that was beautiful. I told her I was going to invite her to come here, and maybe they would do a concert right here. Just pack the place out for two of them. I'm not going to talk real long. This is Father's Day, and I know many of you are going to go out and toast either outdoors or someplace. My dad would be 91 if he was here today. And one of the most important and powerful things he said to me, he often said he loved us. He told us all the time. I remember he would come home at 4 o'clock every day, and because Popeye the Sailor Man came on in the 50s, and when Popeye would come on, Daddy would drive into the driveway, and you could hear the gravel crackling under the wheels, and all 6 of us would just charge out to the car and just jump on him. Daddy, 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 Daddy. And he'd kiss every single one of us. And then we would go back and sit, and then we'd wait, and Mama would wait, and he would just hold her and love her. We saw that as little children coming up for years. He used to call from work, and my mom would just go crazy and just charge through the house, whether she was ironing or washing clothes. We'd say, Mama, Daddy's on, bam, she'd go running like, she did that for 2 or 3 days. And it was just, we used to actually banter on who was gonna tell her Daddy was there. She just had this amazing love, but we saw that, and they would be 70 years married if Daddy was still alive. Now that's a long time to live with the same person. 70 years married. They were 68. Well, it'd actually be 71, Mom, because you guys would have had their 68th wedding anniversary just a few days after he made his transition, which was 2 days after my birthday. So this is a soft day, but he said to me, he said, son, you set it off, and son, you don't know how much I love you. And I said, thank you, Dad. You're precious. He said, no, you won't know it until you have your own son. You won't know what I mean or what it's like. And when my kids were born, fatherhood, this whole idea about health shifted because I was sitting in my house. I was so proud of I didn't think I'd have any children. I was totally surrendered to Christ, and I still am, and I entered the ministry, and I was 40 years old, and I said, if I don't get married by the end of my 40th year, we won't even discuss the matter anymore. I said that to God. But if I'm supposed to get married, I'm going to be married in 6 months into my 40th year. I met Gina, married her 3 months after I met her. And about a year later, and the saints of my church was counting the months, about a year later, it wasn't 9, it was about 9.5. Y'all wouldn't have done that over here, but my church, they was keeping a calendar. I know y'all. My mama even had a calendar on that one. Julian comes in July. He's going to turn 24. And I remember sitting there so incredibly proud, a little bit embarrassed, because I'll just be honest, I thought that being a husband with children was for commoners, and that I was supposed to be single and saved and sanctified and satisfied and serving God till I died, that I would leave nothing in the earth except something to my parents if I preceded them in death. And that was my commitment. I fasted and prayed and sought God my whole life. And then I got to the place where I wondered. One time I was on the jet with Richard and Patty Roberts. This was in 1975. We were flying to a big church in Los Angeles. And that was only my second time on the company jet. I'd been there in 72 when Oral Roberts flew to Memphis, Tennessee to preach at our annual conference of our denomination. I was very honored to go with him. And so now I'm on the second time. It's 1975. We're on our way out to California. And I said to Richard, man, if I was you and your dad was my dad and I had all access to all the things you have, I'd take this whole world for Jesus. And he said, well, you don't have a wife and children. And I said, your dad had a wife and 4. And it got real tense. But it was more impacting to me than him when I said that. I stopped discrediting and discounting my ability to be productive in the earth spiritually if I had a wife and children. And when I did, I still felt a little bit selfish that I did that for me and not for the ministry. I did it for me and not for God. I was raised to think only about God and serving God and preaching the gospel and saving the world and all that kind of. My mom is the same way. She still thinks I should be doing what I did 40 years ago because she trained me to do that. And that's what we do. That's what my dad did. That's what his dad did. That's what her uncles did and her grandfather. So we have 4 generations of this. It's almost like a cult following of a principle. I don't mean that in an unkind way, but we were so locked into that, we didn't know other freedoms. We didn't know other realities. Never drink, never smoke, I didn't. Everybody else in my family was going to hell. I was the only one. We were taught, I lived such a straight, strict life. I'm 65 and I'm just learning what freedom is without judgment. My mother was always straight and very strict. Daddy was always a little bit, he would relax the rules. He would every once in a while, Daddy would have a beer, and we'd always know when he was on the verge of backsliding because he'd have a beer in the refrigerator, and Mama would go on a 3-day fast to keep them beers out. And one of the last things I gave him before he died was a bottle of wine, and I was sneaking some wine. He wanted a little whiskey, but I said, "Oh, Dad, you could have a little wine." Jesus, as I heard Nicole say the other day, I like the water that Jesus turned to wine. My dad had this very, very comforting way of letting me know it's okay not to take myself too seriously. He guided me that way. When Julian was born, he was crawling around my feet. And I was sitting at home alone. I was the proudest human being on the planet because I had a kid and I had a son and he was mine. And I was 41 and he was just touching things and moving and flipping and flopping around. And I remember hearing a voice inside me, or a thought come to my mind, what could that little boy do to make you send him to hell forever? It was an insulting question. It took me only seconds to say absolutely nothing. And then I heard that same emphasis in my spirit say, why are you telling people we do that? Do you really believe we are tormenting people forever, weeping, wailing, and gnashing forever, and we love them? it hit me. I couldn't, then the Father's love entered my heart at a different expansion. Our Father, who art in the higher reaches and rhythms and regions of consciousness. We say heaven, but we don't really know what that is, except everything is consciousness. Hallowed be thy name, thy authorized existence in my consciousness. Name is anoma in Greek, and it means authorization. Your nature, hallowed, halo, holy. Halloween is after All Saints' Eve. Holy, that means special be your presence in my consciousness. When he says, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, our Father, everybody say, our Father. Now, all the fathers in here today are our fathers. And most of you would be kind and fatherly to any of us. In fact, I'm going to borrow a couple of dollars from all of you before we leave today, just to be free. There's not a one of you in general that would turn any one of us away today. There's something about a father. You can easily feel that protective thing that my wife was Gina was driving to Arkansas last week, and she had a flat. She drove in, she was rushing to catch a plane there, and she drove into a service station, and they couldn't help her with the tire. They couldn't fix it. She would have had to go down to another place to get it fixed. And there was a car with a gentleman in there and his sons, a young man, and 3 of his sons. This is Arkansas. He was white. He never saw my wife before. And he said, may I help you, ma'am? And she said, could you just give me a ride he said, get in the car. And he went down there. The son got out and walked with her in to tell the people to go get her car to fix it, so while she makes her flight, it would be fixed when she came back to Arkansas. And then he drove her to the airport. The son got out, took her luggage, walked into the airport with her, and Gina said the man treated her like she was his daughter. He had the same care. He had young children. The little boy treated her like he was her mother, like she was his mother, and the warmth and the love. And then she got them on the phone, and we called them, and we've invited them to come and eat with us here in People of My Colored Greens, when they're coming by the house to eat. And I remember thinking that father's love, he didn't even know Gina. She was a complete stranger, but something drew him to that service station. He happened to notice she was in distress, and he just kicked it in. He didn't think about who she was. He didn't know what kind of woman she was, where she was from, how she lived. He didn't even care. He just felt that fatherly love and took care of her in a very, very special way. Many, many men don't get celebrated to the same degree that we should. Usually on Mother's Day, we take her out, we get her flowers, we buy her dresses and perfume and send cards and call. And on Father's Day, we give him a pair of socks and tell him to go on about his business. And we usually go, I don't need nothing, don't worry about me, just take care of your mama. But when you do give us something, Madge got up and fixed me breakfast this morning. She and my son and one of my godsons had a big, what is that y'all sent me, the flower, the fruit thing? Edible arrangement. And I edibled it this morning. You know. There are little things that happen with a father, because you're not just a sperm donor. Any male can make a baby. It takes a man to be a father. That's a responsibility. And when you're involved in the children's life, and we, ladies, you might as well know this, we love making you happy. The first woman a man ever loves is his mother. I adore my mom. I almost worshiped her all my life. She had 6 of us. So my love wasn't special to her necessarily, because we all loved her. But you can tell how a man will treat his wife sometimes by the way he treats his mother. The first meal that he takes is from her breast. He swims in her stomach for 9 months. He bonds with her. He's physically connected to her. When my children came out, I was able to clip the umbilical cord and hold them both up to God. Julian first, and then Majestè. She was just kicking. Julian came into the world, and we laid him down, and he had so much water in him, a lot of it just came right out. And my dad said, that boy came into the world pissed off. And he's been pissed off ever since. Y'all pray for him. My dad was there when Julian was born. I rushed here to get there. He met me at the hospital, at the Hillcrest Hospital. When my daughter was born, I'd taken Gina to the doctor, and she started having contractions. That afternoon, our doctor just happened to swing into the parking lot, our personal doctor, Dr. John, Julian's godfather, and Gina was leaning against me as she did when she would have those pains. I would just have her lean on me, and Dr. John just happened to show up, our doctor, and he said, we better put her in the hospital. I think she's going to have this baby. And she had it that afternoon. Daddy got up and rushed down there. He's been in the birthing suite every time one of our kids were born. I celebrated that man. He'll always be my hero. He was my best friend. He walked me through so many things. And the first time I ever heard my dad cry was when I was leaving San Diego at the airport. I'd never seen my dad cry. I couldn't even imagine him crying. And we went to the airport. I had my little bag. I was coming down here to ORU in August of 1971. And at the airport, my dad cried and held me. He said, son, you're leaving me, and I barely got to know you. He said, you're busy with your mom and the preachers and running around in church, and I let you be with them because I thought that was good, but now you're leaving. He didn't know, I believe, I was really going to go to college. And it just melted me. And so when I got to ORU, I wrote him a letter and told him that I had all those bishops and leaders and preachers all around me, but that my dad was my first hero and would always be that. And the first and only time I think that my dad ever wrote a letter was to me. He couldn't write that well, couldn't even read that well. But my daddy wrote me a handwritten note. I wish to God I had it today. And when I sat in my dorm at ORU and read it, he expressed his heart for me, and then a few years later they moved here in 78, and we became close. I sent him to every building I was going to buy. He was the one that warmed where our church was, Higher D, that 15 acres to the south. The man there wasn't friendly toward religious people and didn't like church folk, and Daddy warmed him up. Daddy talked about fishing and trees, and he warmed the man up, and the guy sold us the property, cut several $100,000 out of it. I said, Daddy, you worth something. You're going to turn out to be something here in a minute. And one of the most embarrassing and profound things he said to me is, he said, son, you're the man I've always wanted to be. I said, what are you talking about? I mean, it didn't register. He had that kind of oneness. You're the man I have always wanted to be. He said, you're smart and you're educated and you're productive and you're doing these kinds of things. I'm so proud. I never sat in the service where my dad wasn't smiling. Somehow the father's role, because the science says that the male determines the gender of the child. Something in the X and XY chromosome comes out of the male and determines the gender. And of course, the bloodline is carried through the father. And there's a strange connection between a father and his children, even though the culture has a way of dismissing us. I remember when my son was first born, and today we get to go into the birthing suites, as I did with both my kids. A few years ago, the dad wasn't allowed. How many of you remember that? Colin, you would remember that. Dads were not allowed to go in there. So he was distanced from the kid from the beginning. You stay away. You stay out. You get back. Here comes mom, grandmama, godmother, aunt, sister, what? The dad stayed away. And I remember if he didn't do the diaper right, or he didn't put, in those days we had cloth diapers with safety pins, right? Well, if the man didn't put it on, the father didn't put it on right, sometimes the mother would say, that ain't the way to put it, stop that, get that other, by the time he gets through, he feels like a little kid, and he says, here, take this Negro, just take it, I'm through. And then he steps away, and sometimes he never enters the life again. And I remember when my wife started doing that with Julian. I said, oh, wait, baby, wait. I'm going to put this diaper on the way I put it on. I don't care if I put it on his head. Let me put it on, and let me hold him, and let me be daddy. Because I never wanted to leave my kid's life. We hurt when our dad leaves our lives and lives in the same house. And there are a lot of hurting men, maybe in here today, because at some point he meant no harm. And once the man doesn't feel like a hero in his home, he's crushed. We get silent. We don't talk a lot. We find man caves long before they were popular. He backs away because you don't do things right. they tell you. We had to, but we're still there. We're protecting, we're loving, we care. There's a lot of men silent in their lives today because they don't know where they fit other than providing and protecting. And men, if you're here and have gone through that, I understand, and we can be healed, and the world is changing, and this whole Me Too thing straightened us up and out. We have to be there's a lot of men shaking in their boots now who haven't been exposed yet. The world was different, and the culture was different, and the society is different, and we got by with things, and we took license in ways we didn't know. When I sat and told my dad that his mother was not in hell forever, he was about 78 years old, 10 years before he died. When I convinced him through scripture that the word hell does not appear in the original text. Jesus never used the word hell. He used the Hebrew word Gehenna. Gay meaning gully or gorge or valley of Hinnom. The King James translators translated the word hell from the Anglo way of translating Greek and Hebrew, but it was an inaccurate translation because Dante's Inferno, which was written in the 1200s, influenced the Catholic Church and influenced the thinking of the people and dramatized hell and made it an article of faith. That you couldn't be saved if you didn't believe in hell. What God who says he or it loves everybody, and I'll give my own son for you, and if you don't believe me, to hell with you. I'm gonna send you to hell, and you're gonna suffer forever. You better believe I love you. That's stupid, you know? That don't make, as we said, that don't make no kind of sense. How you gonna say I love you, but if you don't believe I love you, I'm gonna torture you? Think about that. And we preach that to the world. I believe in a hellish experience. I sat late last night till almost 2 o'clock in the morning with a young man who never knew his father. He was at the Juneteenth event. And he aspires to the ministry. I knew his grandfather, and he knew his grandfather. I preached his grandfather's funeral. And he said, I never knew my father, and the words you're saying to me are so valuable. He said, I've been watching you since I was a little kid. I mean, an infant. I watched you on television, I listened to your music, I came to your church, I came to Azusa. I've always been drawn to you, and now I'm sitting. He said, I can't believe I'm sitting here with you. My grandfather is in heaven, I never knew my father, and you're saying things to me that a father should be saying. And I remember the hell that many people go through who never get to hear that warm embrace vocally or attitudinally from a father. We sort of validate. I said, your masculinity is often validated by your dad. Your humanness, your female aspects, who you are often validated by the relationship you have with your father. Your mother affirms you in a different way. It's powerful. It comes sort of natural. Dads sort of work their way into your lives. Fathers, I salute you. I'm saying things that many of you have experienced. Some of you, it's new to think about it. But you're courageous men, and I can say it. I remember they used to say what you said, have all the fathers stand when I wasn't married in my own church. I can't tell you I was embarrassed, I felt awkward, I felt inadequate to minister because they'd say, let all the fathers stand. And I'm the founder of the church and pastor. I almost wanted to have a baby out of wedlock just that. No, I didn't. I thought of it a couple times, but I really wouldn't. Now that I won, when you all stood, I felt so proud. I love that little girl. I adore her, and I adore her brother, who ought to be here today and isn't. But he had breakfast with me this morning. Huh? Tell him I said. Yeah, tell him I said so. He should have been here. He loves me. He constantly laid on my bed. He came in last night, came in my room, and we talked because he was on the lake all day yesterday. We have a very close relationship. We like to talk. He texts me all the time, sends me news articles. He knows how I think. He preaches my stuff back to me. And that's enough, you know. You want to keep that relationship going because sometimes it slips away. When I first explained to my dad what I considered was a sin in my life, he listened very carefully. And he said, son, when you get older, you're going to understand. I don't want you to carry the sin consciousness with you all your life. I was just a teenager. He said, I want you to understand that you're not ever going to be what you consider perfect. Don't even try. Go and grow with the flow that you are, and don't condemn yourself. Sin consciousness, from my tradition, has eaten the life of many people. Wrap your arms around yourself. Think about your dad, if you had a relationship with him. If you didn't, I pray and think positive energy toward you so that you won't be scarred by that or feel victimized. I'm sure there was some male image somewhere, maybe a brother, maybe an uncle, maybe a grandfather, godfather. Feel the affirmation. Feel the parental love, the sponsoring idea that spawned your existence on this planet, and salute it. I'd give anything to hug my dad today. Mom and I were driving to church, and I had Tony Bennett on. I like him, and he was singing, I forget the song. What? Yeah, don't get around much anymore. And Mama said, oh, that's my me and Dad's song. That's what they were singing when he came back from the war. I didn't even know that. And I said, I'd give anything to have him now. She said, me too. When you live with a man that long, it's hard to let him go. If your dad is with you today, reach over and touch him. You are so blessed to have your dad. If you can touch your dad, oh, you better get up here. If you can touch your dad, Marlon's dad is here. That's a courageous man. I love him. He's strong. He's full of wisdom. He loves his son. He's very supportive. He's one of the most sensitive men I know. He sat with Dr. Wolf for hours. I'd always go over when he was there. And that was his buddy. He's a buddy to this ministry. He's a buddy to his own son. He understands the vision. You're all of our Father, sir. We all salute you. We love you. Stand on your feet, dads. Let's stand up. All the fathers, stand up one time. If you're with your father, yeah. Dudes, come on, look at these. We could all tell the stories. We all got stories to tell. And I'll say it for all of us. I don't care even if we didn't do it well or didn't do it right, we really tried, y'all. Sometimes we just miss it. But we really do love you. We really want to fill in those gaps, and we'll keep trying to do better. Be easy on us and do something that you haven't done for us today. I don't know what that will be. Build us a house. Buy us a car. Let's salute these gentlemen one more time. I bless you. I celebrate you. Come Sunday is the movie. Come Monday is the movement. Sunday is named after the sun. Monday is named after the moon. I call the moon the natural night light. You don't have clear vision at night. You have a little light in the sky that helps you find your place during the dark moments. We want to help you deal with the day after the sun, when Monday hits and you got to go back to work and get back into the saddle and where the rubber really meets the road. And we want to teach you how to just relax and chill. Remove the anxiety, the stress. Stretch without stressing. These are technologies that we offer you in this movement to advance and expand yourself and your soul, to get past the depression and the anxiety that is often in our lives, to have less depression and to know how to deal with lessening the pressure in life. And everything, again, is consciousness. How to advocate yourself of fear, or how to manage fear and manage pain. We don't know how to completely eradicate it, but we can manage it, and we have to gain focus. What we see and what we think about, we bring about. How we envision, when you change the way you look at things, as Wayne Dyer says, the things you look at change. All these are technologies, human and emotional and devotional, to help you be the best you, to experience the best you, because what you want wants you, because what you want really is you. Sign up, comemonday.org, and become a part of this amazing, expansive movement that is happening all over the planet. Be one of the first of your friends to sign up. I invite you. You're on your way to enlightenment. I want to meet you there in consciousness.